Hey, what's going on, y'all? Shawn here, and I came across an article that talked about how stroke patients, people who've had stroke, have high levels of what are called microplastics in the plaques that are inside of their arteries, clogging their arteries, according to research. Now, this is something that's been kind of coming out in the news a pretty good bit here in like the past year or so. But yeah, just the fact of or the pervasiveness of plastics all throughout our environment, in our air, in our water supplies, in the soil, and then also in all throughout our bodies. Now, just think about that. Just like plastics everywhere. Like plastics in your your various bodily tissues, your brain, your bloodstream, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of frustrating, to be honest, and disconcerting, but it's not a surprise because factories and stuff that are putting all this stuff out into the air. A lot of those byproducts of whatever's coming out of factories are like plastics, and so that's a lot of what ends up putting this stuff in the atmosphere. And literally, I heard somebody say one time that plastics are literally anywhere you look, there's like plastics in the environment that we live in because of like the way that we make things and whatnot. Anywhere, like literally anywhere you turn and look, in the woods or on the street or whatever, it's like literally very, very, very microscopic particles of plastic everywhere. And but not that's not even like taking into account stuff like how a lot of our foods and stuff are wrapped in plastic, and all the plastic water bottles and soda bottles and plastic containers and plastic bags, and all the littering of plastic in the oceans and seas and on the side of the road and so on and so forth. But again, this study is talking about how stroke patients just happen to show higher levels of microplastics in the plaques that are inside of their arteries. Now, apparently, um, it's not necessarily known yet if those plastics, higher levels of plastic, are like definite contributors to stroke. It's just you see they're seeing higher levels of plastic in those plaques in particular. So it's important to notate that. Um, in the study, in the article rather, which I've linked to in the description, it said that plaque buildup was higher, 16 times higher in people who had plaques without having a stroke or anything versus people who had clear arteries. But in people who had actually experienced stroke or mini stroke or temporary blindness, to due to blockage, they had 51 times higher levels um of plastic. Sorry, let me make sure I get this right because yeah. They had 51% higher or 51 times higher plastic levels in um in their plaques versus people who had clear um arteries with no plaques. And so hopefully what I said makes sense. So here's what I wonder. Like I said, I know plastic is literally everywhere because of like our manufacturing practices all around the world, especially in developed countries and whatnot. Um, I wonder if plastics, because it's unfortunately true that we consume plastic and we're inhaling plastic. Do plastics just naturally accumulate in plaques and in fatty tissue? Because I know that even in your body fat, plastics tend to be stored in your body fat because a lot of times our bodies use fat to kind of store even toxins and stuff like that. So I wonder if the plastics are just there because of that. And do they actually? Again, I wonder, do they actually contribute to strokes and heart attacks? It could be. I think that it almost starts to look like it, but I think to be fair, there needs to be more, as they say, more studies to really kind of show if there is like they say, correlation versus causation. Is it causing or is it just kind of like correlated with it? Okay. So that said, obviously, like the ingestion of plastic is not like, I don't think it's a good thing either way, because even plastics have been associated with kind of altering like our hormonal profiles as well. Um, you know, in a negative way, imbalancing our hormones. So that's another reason why like these plastics everywhere is really frustrating, which leads me to kind of think about things that, can be done with us in our lifestyles to reduce the ingestion of plastic. Now if you live in a city, or close to like a lot of industry and stuff like that, obviously like you're probably going to have higher exposure to plastics than the rest of us, who may live in more wooded environments and stuff, at least as far as I see, as far as it seems to me. But big no, I'll say, as far as like if you want to avoid ingestion high levels of plastic, or doing your best, try not to drink hot beverages in plastic containers, like coffee or tea in like cups with plastic lids, or even the cups themselves have plastics in them. So try not to do that. This is what I use. I actually have a link to this in the description. It's a Clean Canteen mug. Now this is I don't know exactly what this is made out of. I think it's BPA free though. Um but it's stainless steel and it keeps the beverage hot. Um, Also, don't warm up food in plastic containers and plastic bags. Like, don't do it. Do not do it. Or covering stuff, hot food with saran wrap, plastic wrap, and all that kind of stuff. Putting hot food in styrofoam or in styrofoam plates. Now, I admit, every now and then, if I pick up food from somewhere, then I, they have those in the containers and whatnot. So I guess just minimizing that is a good idea, because when you have hot food in contact with like a plastic like that, you know how whenever you eat it and then the plastic is rougher or obviously worn out, the styrofoam, where is it? It's like literally on the food or in the food at that point. So like trying to avoid that'll help to reduce plastics. And then finally, reducing the use of plastic beverage bottles, soda bottles, water bottles, especially if those have been hot for a period of time. Because if they've been hot, then that is going to like definitely contribute to leaching of plastic into our stuff, y'all. So I know what some people are thinking, man, what's the use? And I get it. Sometimes it does seem like that, but we have to do the best that we can to reduce the levels of these toxic things in our food and our water and whatnot, because it's all a part of helping to take care of these bodies God has given us. We live in this world that we live in that has a lot of its conveniences, and with a lot of conveniences comes a lot of toxins. But y'all, let's just do the best we can to avoid exposure to these toxins, y'all. So anyway, what is worth? What do you think about plastics, in our food and our water and all this kind of stuff? Let me know in the comments. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/ShawnB2B Fitness today.